or higher above what's average volume. So we all know Virgin Galactic has been on fire, but you can see, today there's a nice mix. There's biotech in there.
150 most popular vehicle in America in 6 years, and Virgin Galactic 5% rally. I am John Nigerian.
Yeah, it's got an insane valuation. Space, Virgin Galactic. This is another one of those that, if you've made a crazy amount of money on that, you got to at least consider potentially taking some profits on this one. I first called out this company's valuation back when it was like $28 a share, and I was like, this looks, insanely rich. It was like,
here was a company called Social Capital, used the SPAC vehicle to take Virgin Galactic public. More recently, you may have seen Pershing Square filed for a SPAC that it's called Pershing Square Tontine Holdings, and it's a $3 billion issuance that could go up to $6 billion. And so that should be coming to market soon. We're going to be helping with that. And that has the
Today, what I'm going to highlight is short term. So, Virgin Galactic, SPCE is the symbol here. We've had bullish paper in there since early June, and they have been right. Stock was 15, now stock is 25. So today, what are we seeing? We see about 3,000 of the July 24th expiring Friday of the 28 calls. Now they're going as well. SPCE, Virgin Atlantic. Now this is Galactica, excuse me. Virgin Galactica. Really interesting because now the stock's all the way up to 27. Now we've been talking about this stock for quite a while. We've seen unusual option activity, consistently been bullish, consistently been accurate. So far, so good. They're buying Friday's expiring. Today is Thursday. Let's run.
And take a look at Space, which is Virgin Galactic, lower by 9%. No revenue over there, and they're going to have to offer 20 million more shares. Beyond Meat, they're getting into Sam's and BJ's Wholesale, and that stuff.
Also had some great strength out of DraftKings, Virgin Galactic, Datadog, another one of these names that's just gotten to be one of these very explosive names. And there are times where the shifting in there, and as a matter of fact, the option activity there has been absolutely telling. It's been right on, it seems like, consistent.
Innovation space in general. He sits on the board of Virgin Galactic Holdings, ticker SPCE, and has reserved tickers IPO A through Z for future SPAC combinations. So getting back to this trading board, what we can do is we can take the biggest changes and we can just put them in an ordered list. And that's what you're.
ARK has placed some pretty big bets on. Tesla, Google, Fleer, Virgin Galactic, Trade Desk, Zillow, CRISPR Therapeutics, Invitae Corporations, Roku Square, Twilio, Tencent, Snap, LendingTree, Pinterest, Pure Storage, Slack, TransUnion, Facebook, Teladoc, Spotify, Fastly, Unity, DocuSign, NVIDIA, CloudSpace, Zoom, and many more.
Here on the take. Space, SPCE, love that name, Virgin Galactic. I have owned this stock for a really long time. I've traded both the calls around it, but I've been holding the stock since I originally bought it. That's months and months and months ago, and I've been selling.
And every SPAC initiated by Chamath, including Virgin Galactic, ticker symbol SPCE, which will surely be added to ARKX. Come join me and over 2,500 others as we share our visions for the future and our investment thesis in it. Your voice matters. Speaking of exponential growth, I'm proud to say that after
well, it's getting a little easier. And it has Virgin Galactic shares rocketing higher today, as well as other space companies. The reason? Call it the Cathie Wood effect, a filing revealing that her company, ARK Invest, is launching a space exploration ETF. ARK is coming off of a wildly successful run in 2020. Its flagship innovation fund,
Defense and Security, Virgin Galactic, Autodesk, Garmin, Deere, Materialize, UPS, Google, Boeing, and Honeywell. Existing space exploration fund today. Actually, not exactly today.
ETFs are by definition public market vehicles. Why not extend your investment thesis to private markets and raise money to invest in venture capital and in growth equity?
And it may not be so surprising when Virgin Galactic doesn't take the #1 spot, as it's the
back here. We got costs up 27%, Microvision 21%, Virgin Galactic on the recovery after bad news yesterday, coming up 17% clutch here. We got AMC 14.8% pushing. Folks, I can't find GameStop. Where is GameStop? I'm going to have to sort by name. It's not in the top boys over here. This is not good. Where are we, GameStop? We want to see a rally into the close.
People, because you're seeing what happens with like Virgin Galactic. Obviously, it's not EV. I'm just saying people are doing a lot of testing into the products as well as into the vehicle before. So the aircraft needs to be tested substantially to be able to earn the trust and have the regulations and have the limitations to.
From the deal. Okay, good. Let's see here. Virgin Galactic went public with Chamath. Yep, we know that. A SPAC, we know what that is. I'm very fascinated about the 23andMe SPAC. So 23andMe investor relations. Let's see here. Usually we'll be able to find a slide deck here. Here we go. Maybe. My next video is going to be on the Virgin Galactic merger there with 23andMe, not to be confused with space, SPCE. Virgin Galactic
running in the Super Bowl, and talk to us about how difficult it is at the moment to make ads, film ads. What an unprecedented it is.
First impressions on 23andMe and their Virgin Galactic SPAC VGAC. Is it worth investing in? What valuation are you investing in? Why is it down 8% today? What stocks that'll be included? One name like Virgin Galactic. When was this posted? Oh, this is from January 26th, so this is older. Another one is New Providence Acquisition, NPA. I don't know why when I read that I think of like IPA, and I'm like, are they trying to sell me a beer? Virgin Galactic lost 1%. It's not a big deal. Chivo, no biggie. Wonder what MViz is doing. Anyway, Virgin Galactic today. Oh, Carvana. That actually could be good for Shift.
7% move. Moving to the downside. Virgin Galactic, SPCE, Virgin Galactic. They're not going to be going back into space till at least May, maybe longer. Shares are down 14% right now. Workhorse down 11%.
SpaceX sells shirts. Okay? So Virgin Galactic should be selling spacesuits and shirts and hats because they got nothing else to sell. Okay? They got nothing else to sell. Jeez. And they can't get the plane in the air. And they SPAC, right? And the thing's trading at 2x, 3x at SPAC. Like really into this stuff. He has more sales than Nikola and Virgin Galactic combined. And he's pitching my mom, so my kid is doing better than these companies and they're SPACs. So there's so many of these companies like Canoe and QuantumScape. Everybody
massive total addressable market. And Virgin Galactic is best positioned. Bear case. They remain kind of a space tourism company, which we think could generate, at least 100 million in revenue by 2025.
Another one of Mr. Branson's entities, Virgin Galactic, went public through a SPAC in 2019. Rocket Lab's deal would provide them an additional $470 million. Rocket Labs expects to use the proceeds from the deal to fund new development of a medium-lift neutron launch vehicle. The space industry is honestly fascinating. They should all do this. Virgin Galactic down 4.29%. Wow, it's at $29. Man, this thing shot up to like $64. That's crazy cheap. Can like God come down right now and just go, Kevin, it's over. And we just need some whole wait, Kevin. I'm just gonna sell. I'll just sell out of Virgin Galactic, not to mention any names. I'll just sell out of Virgin Galactic. I'll go reevaluate my opportunities because it's been a tough week. Anyway, Kathy Wood goes on to say that she discloses her holdings every day as an actively traded ETF because there are very few actively traded ETFs. She's right about this, and that's part of the rules of the game. On Friday, about why he sold completely out of Virgin Galactic. Now, I am always interested to listen to people's perspective and a dialogue. I have people on my podcast that have completely different views than I do about things. Virgin Galactic down about 0.8. What are they at now? Virgin's at $27 now. Unity.
Virgin Galactic, he did have a lot a while back, as much as 400 million. But I guess he's all out now of that stock. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, his personal stake.
Yeah,
his personal stake is all out. I mean, he still owns through Social Capital.
Right.
So indirectly, and he did less. I mean, just to look at Virgin Galactic, which is one of those SPAC names, one of those high-flying names that doesn't actually have commercial operations and really a source of revenue, let alone profits at this point. It's trading at 27 right now. Last month, it was trading as high.
So a lot of know if do we see a reaction here? Yeah, Virgin Galactic bumped on this. Look at this. Virgin Galactic's at 6.5% here. Microvision kind of, this data has been out for about these last 4 candlesticks here. So we actually did get a bump in some of the stocks here. Just the last. This is some really big moves here. Virgin Galactic back up. We got Open Door, Gevo. Beautiful. I mean, what a run. Also up 3% here. United, Cinemark, lots of recovery up. Lemonade up 2.25%. Great interview. I'm actually surprised that's not a lot more. Yeah, we did Virgin Galactic. You can scroll back on that. FRX, these new SPAC announcements usually don't get shorted. Yeah, there's like nothing. 0.3%. Oh, I'm getting so itchy. Baba. Let's see. Baba. Let's see what they got talking. What she's talking about here. Oh, TV commercial. Okay. Alrighty. Well, I guess she doesn't have anything to talk about. Moth blocking me because he's a weenie baby who sells out of Virgin Galactic when the market's falling, doesn't want to tell anybody that he's getting margin called when we know he's getting margin called and he had no choice. So instead suggests he has to do, sorry, now I'm rambling about Chamath. Never mind. 0.4%, both of them. Walmart, Virgin Galactic, Blink, all trending down a little bit. Let's see what we got.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's...
All right, so the first story stock that I have for you is Virgin Galactic Holdings. And Virgin Galactic Holdings is essentially a play on space travel. So Virgin Galactic Holdings, an integrated aerospace company, develops human spaceflight for private individuals and researchers in the United States. Okay, so Virgin Galactic stock is fairly popular. We would want to see some version of earnings and revenue growth. So let's take a look at the analysis tab for Virgin. And, earnings per share is probably not going to work for this one because they just don't have. All right, so the real catch here with Virgin Galactic is not necessarily that they won't go on to do good things. It's just the risk level right now at the current price, which seems small, right? A $30 stock.
There was a lot of initial success with the de-SPACing of Virgin Galactic. And that showed many people, hey, there is interest for investing in space. And it's brought upon, almost 9 or so different SPACs with a specific space focus.
And what are some of these names that are coming out? I mean, SpaceX comes to my mind. That would
sold Virgin Galactic.
No. Oh, why he sold Virgin Galactic? I think that should be directed at him.
wait a minute. That's the way you responded there. Did he also sell shares of MP?
No, he's not I honestly have no clue what he does with his individual holdings. So
decimated. Zom down 14.5%, Virgin Galactic 14.09, Quantum down almost that 1337 level there. But yeah, that's riding on top of a short seller report. It's also part of the momentum group here, just getting absolutely wrecked.
Branson's sale comes about a month after Virgin Galactic chairman Chamath Palihapitiya sold his remaining personal stake in the company as well. Virgin Galactic trading down 13.5%.
Yeah.
Wilfred.
Still
Wow.
to come with just, 18 minutes left and a very strong set of markets. We will discuss shares of...
You gotta love it. I tell you, you want to get rich? IPO something. IPO or SPAC something. You don't up on coin. Virgin Galactic is leading losses. Followed. Anyway, Zom's down 7%. Virgin Galactic's down 6%. Wow, they're at $25 now. Li Auto down 1.3. Canoe's down 1.2.
6%. We have Virgin Galactic down 13%. That's after Richard Branson sold about $150 million worth of shares. And AMC up 6% with the CEO giving some guidance on why they are doubling their authorized shares, but they're not.
One of them, Virgin Galactic, is down more than 50%, and all of the losses in all of his SPACs are greater than the average 23% decline in SPACs as measured by IPOX SPAC Index since mid-February. These are some of Chamath's holdings here, or Chamath's SPAC. Getting our head of ourselves. Jeez. Virgin Galactic, oh my goodness, it's at 22. It's at 22. Galactic. It's not a bad one. All right, we're gonna stop now. 21.3%. I mean, these numbers have certainly trended up in the last 2 months. And that's what we're seeing. Seeing that the shorts are really just shorting almost everything.
Here in pre-market on a downgrade over at Citi. And Virgin Galactic, interesting move here, down to 2056, down 8.5%. Look, I mean, yeah, had a big news here coming in overnight. Cassie Wood, two of her funds actually sold off about 590,000 shares. Keep in mind, this comes on the back of Richard.
Or you can use it to fund your trip to space with Virgin Galactic.
It'll be a good thing. Like you want to short like Virgin Galactic at 2x times its SPAC price. When something's trading at a SPAC price, that's like the cash value of the company. So it's like, and you're talking about 2x revenue multiple too. So that's just stupid.
All right, where were we? Mind Medicine is down 18%. Virgin Galactic's down 9%. My goodness, it's about to break $20. Governor Vlog Channel. There you go. Bingo. Nobody does it. We need more transparency up in here. Down 7, if it matters. But anyway, take a look at this. Virgin Galactic finally showing a little bit of love. And this morning, we had a point in this market where we did not have a full page of green. We now have a full page of green again. Which
Company's first time since going public. Affirm, Novavax, Virgin Galactic, as soon as they are all released. Plus, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg on the weak April jobs report and whether Congress will be able to reach a bipartisan infrastructure deal.
Virgin Galactic says pandemic is still causing delays for its business. It's evaluating its next test flight, but no news to give now. Nothing yet on, I think Simon Property Group is also coming in, but I'm not sure. Space. Yeah, Virgin Galactic's up from 16.85 to 22. It's any of the Chamath stuff, honestly. Zoom, ZM, barely short. IPOF, fine, we'll do another Chamath here. That's true. Down 20%. Virgin Galactic's down 18.5% in the pre-market. PaySafe is down 18%. There's Marathon and Riot always hanging out together, down 12.5%.
In the space, but that company evaluating the timing of its next flight test, it came out with its numbers also, but it's also really being punished. Then recovered a bit, now taking a dip again. Look at that, Virgin Galactic down 18.
Downside here really being Lemonade, Vuzi, Virgin Galactic, cannabis ETF. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up what the scoop is as well with Lemonade earnings. But let's go ahead and go back here for a moment.
They should be brought in. So are the bad guys.
Only cash.
It's just the bad guys get better.
No, the good guys have
dollars. Riot Blockchain down 12%. Virgin Galactic's down 11%. Ethereum. This is Ethereum.
To prove this concept, his first big deal, Virgin Galactic, when he made that merger in 2019 and saw the stock almost quadruple in a few months, that proved that these SPACs really worked, and I think spawned a lot of copycats.
But they're not working any.
That's to the closing bell. Doge sitting at 49 now. Virgin Galactic up 3%. Ford Motor.
Moving to the upside is Space, the ticker Virgin Galactic, which of course is Richard Branson's space exploration company. It confirmed yesterday it will have a test flight tomorrow. That saw the stock up 14% in the Thursday session. It's higher by another 6% this morning, and an upgrade from UBS may be adding to that positive sentiment.
Very, very powerful. Virgin Galactic up 8%. You got Ford after that lightning reveal up 7.57%. Chinese update there. Yep. That's what I figured.
That one in the green pretty good too, because Virgin Galactic, I'm sure many of you saw the launch over Las Cruces, New Mexico. Yeah, that was impressive. Shares were also impressive, up about 20% last night, holding about 18% right now.
Shares of Virgin Galactic soaring pre-market trading today after the company, founded by British billionaire Richard Branson, conducted a test flight to space for the first time in more than 2 years. The VSS Unity flight from New Mexico is seen as a critical step in its path towards commercial service. The success helps put Virgin Galactic back on track for its plans to fly Branson to suborbital space as early as this summer. In the UK, Prime Minister Boris Johnson's plan to unlock the economy appears to be on track. Data shows.
What do you have? Well, Virgin Galactic, we might as well start there. Now, the stock's kind of come off its overnight highs. Nonetheless, still up 18.5% in early trading. All this coming after a Saturday flight into space from New Mexico.
And also moving to the downside is Virgin Galactic, Richard Branson's space company. It rallied 28% yesterday after a successful space flight over the weekend, but coming a bit more back to earth this morning with shares down about 3% before the bell.
It's really trying to beat up Kathy. We'll have to look at flows too in just a moment here. But Deutsche Bank's nightmare decade is gone. These are wonderful moves. I mean, look at this Virgin Galactic, 13%. Beyond Me, 12%. This is beautiful. Look at that. Upstarts at 163. Smoking by any of the prior numbers that we've seen. It's all of the beat down stocks are just skyrocketing. Look at this. Roblox. Roblox is going to hit 100 soon. Process of building their assembly plant in Arizona. So I've been trading sideways like crazy. Virgin Galactic. There we go. Nice breakout. Palantir's breaking out.
Most exciting high-tech companies on the market, and ARK Invest just sold completely out of it. What the f? Virgin Galactic is an exciting company with a promising future, and I was excited to see two of my biggest heroes in finance, Cathie Wood and Chamath Palihapitiya, holding on to a ton of it. Fast forward to this week. Chamath has sold out months ago, and Cathie Wood has just sold her last. So in this episode, we're going to take a look at Virgin Galactic, how it fits into ARK Invest's vision of the future, and why they sold out of it anyway, as well as if I should sell out of it too. It's a good chance to practice separating my emotional conviction in the company from my financial conviction in its algorithm. Let's launch right into it.
Virgin Galactic has successfully completed a test flight into space, the first time in more than 2 years. This is footage of the VSS Unity after setting off in New Mexico on Saturday. Incredible pictures. Alex absolutely terrified on this critical step in the company.
Nerd and former rocket scientist, Virgin Galactic aligns very strongly with my personal beliefs about the future of humanity spreading across the stars. Their vision of making space tourism more accessible, as well as providing hypersonic point-to-point travel as a service, is as ambitious and noble as it is challenging and scary. Virgin Galactic just completed a manned test flight to the edge of space in order to collect data that's required for FAA approval for commercial passenger service. That approval will allow them to sell tickets to citizens wanting to experience the final frontier. Later this year, Virgin Galactic will take its founder, Sir Richard Branson, into space, as well as fly with the Italian Air Force to demonstrate their capabilities to support professional astronaut training and research in microgravity. Just a few weeks ago, ARK Invest held over 2 million shares of Virgin Galactic in ARK-Q, ARK Invest's fund themed around the autonomous revolution. At $56 million, it was the 21st biggest position in that fund. Gets us to that $100,000 number. So why dump Virgin Galactic? When I take out my emotions and just look at the data, I do really think there are 3 big reasons. Let's start with the obvious one. 4.5 billion passengers flew in 2018. Depending on how you count that number, it could be as much as 60% lower in 2020. That's why Second, hypersonic travel still isn't Virgin Galactic's main focus, yet. Listen to this interview with Virgin Galactic's CEO, Michael Goldglazer, as he talks about their path to profitability and what they're focusing on next.
What is the path to profitability? When do you think this is profitable? Once it starts getting up and...
That's right. We should remember that Virgin Galactic's immediate focus is scaling out their fleet of spaceships to ramp up their space tourism business in support of private astronauts and microgravity research. While that's definitely the coolest sentence I've said in a long time, it's not the hypersonic travel service that will unlock that $135 billion. The third reason is pretty obvious as well. Virgin Galactic is tackling a very technically challenging problem. The test flight they just completed was originally scheduled for months ago. That bill compared to other companies that could also fit in those ARC funds, ARC-Q and ARC-X. As for me, making this episode reminded me that this is an incredibly long-term play if it plays out at all. I think I'm going to hold on to my $350. Let me know in the comments below if you're a Virgin Galactic shareholder, or if you've been thinking about buying or selling the stock.
And one of his earlier SPACs, remember Virgin Galactic, one of the early ones that they did.
AMC's pumping a little bit into the close, y'all. Oh, man, it's at 22% right now. Can we get to 30?
Hold on to this position in SoFi.
Chamath, like any of our shareholders, is bound by any restrictions in terms of trade windows that are.
Look at that pump on Virgin. Let's go ahead and pull up on Virgin really quick. Yeah, I don't want to really just do a short interest update here, but 28.33%. Woo!
And service the space station, Virgin Galactic focuses on space tourism. It celebrated its first manned spaceflight in May and is planning to conduct more test flights with the goal of taking commercial passengers to the edge of space.
We believe this is going to be a supply-constrained business for quite.
SpaceX, we think about Blue Origin, we think about Virgin Galactic, two of which are private, actually. But as I understand it, there are other companies out there as well that may not be as well known or as big.
It's amazing all that SpaceX, Blue Origin, and Virgin Galactic are doing for the space industry. They're really paving a path for hundreds. There are over 400 space startups following in those three footsteps and hope to be those next three. There's about a dozen space startup companies that are going.
We got Express, Plug Power moving nicely here. Virgin Galactic also pushing up 8.61%. That funding round. Great job, GameStop. Virgin Galactic 9%. Peloton ripping too. No way. 8.5% on Peloton. A volume jumping into the close after the Jerome Powell talk. Really didn't give us anything shady. Reiterated the belief that inflation is going to be transitory. Whether you believe it or not, he is doubling down on that belief. We've got about going on. We have literally Virgin Galactic taking off and going completely to the moon here. And again, we are on a 15-minute recess on the Chauvin here trial. So we'll circle back. But we are on, wow, we are going up. We are up 40% here on Virgin Galactic on the day. This is a particular company that is expecting to take customers to space and received FAA approval to do so today. We're not exactly sure if that FAA approval is going to speed up first flight timeframes, but it's been very exciting for the stock. Virgin Galactic has done very, very well on here in the news regarding specifically Virgin Galactic skyrocket here. I mean, it's Virgin Galactic is just what's insane is that Virgin Galactic went down to under $20 a share. And now the thing's up, I would say not only just probably 2.5 times, but probably closer to 3x. I mean, this has just been an incredible rocket ship, so to speak of. It's tough to say. Now there's so many of them. Virgin Galactic has been given the go-ahead to fly paying customers to space after its license was updated on Friday. Wow.
Virgin Galactic is still not at all-time highs. It still makes me a little curious and still makes me really, really interested, because once this stock actually does rip up past all-time highs, that's when I would be willing to really, really go hard. Now, today is that, as CNBC says, Virgin Galactic stock jumps 39% in best day ever after FAA approves passenger space flight license. This is absolutely crazy news. So insane. Just sounds really cool. But
maybe even later. Also in the aerospace sector, keep an eye on Virgin Galactic rallying here for a second day, of course, after receiving FAA certification to begin those space flights. And then in the chip space, NVIDIA hire as well. This after the company getting a little bit of a boost here from some of its customers with regards to its acquisition of ARM. That's
And travel by the seas, maybe also travel by space. Of course, Virgin Galactic got approval last week to take paying customers to space. It will cost a lot of money. The stocks surged 39% on that news on Friday, but gave back some of those gains yesterday and is again this morning down the better part of 2% in early hour RNA vaccine. Another stock moving to the upside is Virgin Galactic, ticker SPACE. Of course, Richard Branson's commercial space exploration company. It fell more than 14% in yesterday's session, but maybe a little bit of dip buying happening this morning.
Pulte Homes and a lot of the home builders had rallied for about 3 straight days here. They're taking a leg down here today. We're getting a downgrade here coming from Goldman Sachs, taking it down to neutral, saying the valuations have gotten a little too stretched for some of these companies and that the profit growth outlook, it has to slow down a little bit from some of the torrid pace that we've been used to here. The biggest volume mover pre-market, that belongs to Virgin Galactic Space. Of course, last week it closed out around $56 a share, just shy of that all-time high. It's down 16% over the first 2 sessions of this week, down 4% here in the pre-market. A downgrade there coming today. This from Bank of America. They're taking it all the way down to underperform. This is the first sell equivalent rating that we've had on Virgin Galactic. Again, valuation appears to be the concern. We did get some earnings this morning. This from General Mills. Overall,
stay tuned because we're going to have a first-on interview with Virgin Galactic CEO Michael Colglazier a little bit later this hour. But in the meantime, guys, what a busy week for this sector that is emerging within the public markets as well. I mean, obviously, Virgin Galactic's publicly traded. We actually had another one, de-SPAC yesterday, Astra, which is higher too. But in terms of this so-called billionaire space race, we've been talking about this. We've been anticipating this.
Internet. Boom to the upside for SPCE, which is Virgin Galactic. Tesla, a plaid catches fire on somebody on a user right after he got it delivered, and DNUT Donut Krispy Kreme coming public again.
Billionaire Jeff Bezos into space. Branson will fly on the Virgin Galactic test flight on July the 11th, along with 5 others. That's just 9 days before Bezos plans a trip to space aboard his rocket made by his company, Blue Origin. He and the crew will be joined by 82-year-old Wally.
Richard Branson is going up to space on a Virgin Galactic test flight on July 11th. And when is that? It is 9 days before Jeff Bezos. He's beating him to the punch here. As a result, space ticker shares are up by about 28% in early hours.
And Bezos, the CEO of Virgin Galactic, discussed founder Branson's plans with Bloomberg's Guy Johnson and Kaylee Lyons.
We do now have a clear license from the FAA to do commercial sales. That won't happen until 22 after we finish the flight test. However, after the second of these next 2 upcoming flights,
Are saying that Virgin Galactic speeding up, getting him into space this Sunday has nothing to do with Jeff Bezos making the same trip with Blue Origin 9 days later. In kind of looking at the story, it is interesting to see that he has done some thrill-seeking things before.
Based on, and not everywhere. I mean, you still got Virgin Galactic and things like M-Ring or Newegg, right? Like really speculative things that have kind of blown up here in the last few days. I shouldn't call Virgin Galactic really speculative, but you know what I mean. And we're seeing a waning of momentum. Like it used to be, we could just look at high short interest stocks and go, oh, this is going to go to the moon, and then a few weeks later it went to the moon. That's gone. Like nobody cares.
Edge of space, the test flight of Branson's Virgin Galactic craft would be a step towards carrying ticket-buying passengers. And Bloomberg will have complete coverage of the launch on television, radio, and Quick Take this Sunday, starting at 9 a.m. Eastern. Global news 24 hours a day on air and on Bloomberg.
Yeah, it gets me into trouble every now and then.
I don't know. Let's take, I don't know, Virgin Galactic or something like that. So those are, then you have to teach people, okay, that's a specific bet. That's not investing. That's really, really a big, big gamble with high risk. spoke to a guy and he said he bought Virgin Galactic because when they do a good launch, the stock will go up. And he doubled his money on that. But I told him what would have happened if the rocket exploded. He would have lost all of his money. So
yesterday after step forward for the obviously for Virgin Galactic, but for that industry too. And obviously next week when we see the Blue Origin launch, that'll be another step too. I mean, the Blue Origin's got kind of far grander ambitions, but certainly space tourism is part of what they're trying to.
In space, Richard Branson's flight may bolster Virgin Galactic's plan to start taking paying customers next year. I'm Danny Berger, alongside Francine Lacroix in London and Kaylee Lyons in New York. Matt Miller is off today, no doubt sleeping in after that very eventful football.
Yesterday, the billionaire Richard Branson, founder of Virgin Galactic, was on a test flight, not technically in space, not above the Kármán line, but still he could see the curvature of the Earth. And it was a really important test flight for the company's viability of taking paying tourists to space by its target of next year. That stock is up 8.6%. Richard Branson, of course, the founder of Virgin Galactic, was on the company's test flight to space yesterday. Really important in proving the viability.
The successful test of the first Virgin Galactic's Unity space plane bolsters the company's plan to debut tourism trips next year. To talk about this a little bit more, it's really captured the imagination of so many people, although not without courting some controversy about whether it was really
Vanity project. Certainly Virgin Galactic's looking to be a profitable endeavor over the midterm. There's still a long way from that. Still huge amounts of investment to go into it. But, I think this definitely takes them a big step forward. As you said, they're hoping to start clearing that backlog of quite a different vehicle, whereas the Virgin Galactic is launched from an aeroplane, as we saw. The Blue Origin New Shepard is a more traditional rocket, if you like, with a capsule on top, but similar in terms of it's a suborbital experience, 10 or so minutes of weightlessness.
Treasuries here at 1.34. Yeah, biggest moves, Virgin Galactic, Cheesecake, and JP Morgan. They're not even that big today. I mean, let's see JPM. I didn't see this one. JPM. We'll do it the old-fashioned way. There we go. JP Morgan. Seriously? It's biggest move, CNBC. JP Morgan's down 0.64%.
From Virgin Galactic. That's fantastic. Yeah, and we've got a little bet going on here, guys. If you go on our Market Rebellion Twitter handle, you can win a UA weekly and then UA masterclass if you bet right where space is going to end up at the end of the week. So we're excited about that.
And my outlook on it. So Virgin Galactic founder Richard Branson completed a successful space flight this weekend, which I suppose means he lost his space virginity and they have to rename the company just Galactic. I don't know exactly.
Begin with Virgin Galactic, because just 24 hours ago, right at this exact moment, I was talking about how it was getting a boost after Richard Branson's successful test flight to space. Then shortly after the open yesterday, the company filed to offer as many as $500 million in shares. Is up about 3%. To the downside, though, Virgin Galactic, all of the hype around Richard Branson's space flight over the weekend overshadowed by the fact that the company filed for a $500 million share sale, or up to it. The stock down 8% this morning after falling 17% yesterday. And finally,
here, AMC down 5.3% right now. Virgin Galactic down 3.4%. More interesting. Hold on, let me get the 10-year again as well. Let's see here. I'll pull up the 10-year 1 second.
They did. But the question, David, is do they have the money to be able to, right now?
Workhorse down almost a full 4%. Virgin Galactic down 3.55.
Line, which is the sort of internationally recognized level of space at 62 miles above the Earth. But that is really a territorial issue. It's of weightlessness. I spoke to Virgin Galactic's CEO, Michael Colglazier, about this. He does say there's a market for that. There are enough people out there willing to part with that amount of money. In fact, he says they're supply constrained. So
I think so. Yeah, certainly the ambition of people at Virgin Galactic and to some extent even things like Blue Origin to kind of bring the cost down so it's accessible for a much wider subset of the population. But you think of all the other industries that could spawn you have to go through a certain amount of physical and mental training to go to space.
One stock moving to the downside, though, again, is Virgin Galactic. This stock is down 38% in the last 6 sessions, even after Richard Branson's successful spaceflight this morning, down about 6.3%, maybe a little bit of selling ahead of Jeff Bezos's Blue Origin spaceflight tomorrow.
The rocket takeoff, and unlike, with Virgin Galactic, this is a legit rocket. They're going to go a little bit higher as well. He's going to experience weightlessness for 3 minutes. I'm totally pumped to watch
Branson's
it.
Successful flight nearly up to space, not quite past the Kármán line, but he did get up there to see the curvature of the Earth. It's down about 6.5% again this morning.
Pilots on board. There were 2 pilots on board the Virgin Galactic flight, but the Blue Origin flight is completely autonomous. So they tell us, even if there were pilots on board, if something went wrong, they couldn't really do anything. And Jeff Bezos and all of these people have been through 14 hours of training over the last couple of days.
Do you see what they're doing at SpaceX, Blue Origin, Virgin Galactic as advancing humanity's push into space broadly, or is it just advancing their own ambitions?
I think it has the potential to contribute, but if it's part of a bigger ecosystem that includes governments, universities, and companies, and of course, nonprofits.
On the cost of a seat, we know that Virgin Galactic, of course, has sold hundreds of tickets for $250,000. We know that Blue Origin has sold at least 1 ticket for $28 million, and that winning bidder is not on this flight due to quote-unquote scheduling conflicts. So it's a very expensive.
Wants to see. We know the cost of it for Virgin Galactic, Tom. It's about 200K, 250K. We still don't know what this is going to cost people if they would like to follow in the footsteps of Jeff Bezos.
Well, there's been a lot of comparison between Virgin Galactic and Bezos and Blue Origin, actually, but the ambitions of Blue Origin are much more aligned with SpaceX. This is the first step in what their, much larger ambition.
What does Mr. Musk learn from what we've seen this morning?
Well, I think, he's...
Take a look at space. Take a look at Virgin Galactic and how it's trading this morning. It's down by 7.6% in early trading. Now, the leaders of these companies, when they're asked about the competition, they don't want to talk about the competition. They believe this is a joint effort to make steps and progress where we haven't made any progress for the last...
Morgan Stanley sees the planned shutdown of Virgin Galactic's main spacecraft. It's basically in maintenance as another reason for a loss of momentum. It's basically cut the stock to underweight. It basically sees a lack of catalysts for this business right now. Dave Wilson, here with the details.
Thanks, Guy. And you're talking about the second sell equivalent rating on Virgin Galactic since it went public by combining with that blank check company in October 2019. The first came at the end of June from Bank of America, which had given the stock an underperform rating after having initially put it at buy. Now, it's been exactly a month since Virgin Galactic put its founder, Richard Branson. She's looking at a long-term valuation of $25 a share for Virgin Galactic. It's trading at $27 and change as we speak. Now, she points out that there's a flight expected in September. And then after that, the sole mothership called the VMSE is supposed to be grounded for an 8-month enhancement period. So no flights until the summer of next year. Analysts definitely are turning more as part of that.
Hey, Dave, is there any other true competitor to Virgin Galactic? I hear what the analyst is saying, but if you want to invest in space in a public company, then you're looking at a Lockheed or a Boeing that has a bazillion other business units that can dilute that pure play. Are there other pure plays there?
Yeah, not that are public, really. You think about, and this is a company, when you look at Virgin Galactic, that is at least trying to sort of dig itself out of a revenue hole, even in the absence of flights so far. Last week, they raised their prices to $450,000 a seat from $250,000. So you're talking about an 80% increase. Oh, when they had this designation for astronauts and researchers, $600,000 a seat.
That feels inflationary.
3%. And then Virgin Galactic was rated a buy at Jefferies yesterday. It rose 9% on that, and those gains continuing this morning, up about 1.7%. But to the downside, though, Lucid Motors, the EV group that went public via a SPAC in July, that lockup expires today. Maybe starting to see Some shareholders selling market trading here in the U.S. I have to begin with Virgin Galactic, of course, Richard Branson's space exploration company. If you remember, the FAA grounded Virgin earlier this month because it was investigating a deviation from its flight path from a flight back in July. The FAA last night saying, though, that investigation has concluded. Virgin can fly again. And as
the last stock, which I know a lot of people want me to talk about. Virgin Galactic's down over 16%. I think it was down as much as 20% here today. One of the most volatile stocks you will ever see in your life. This stock's been anywhere from $14 to $62. And look at the peaks and the troughs in this. I think right here it hit about $16, and right up here it hit another test flight this year. So in a stock like Virgin Galactic, it's definitely very, very run as far as its stock price on short-term momentum and the excitement or lack of excitement at a particular time around this company, right? Because it's not like this company has major revenues at all right now or profit.
Whoa, Virgin Galactic plummeting throughout the day here. I mean, we opened up painfully, but it's just gotten worse and worse and worse. Down almost 17% today, and Ocugen really giving up a lot of that hopium that it had. So Bank of America lowers its price target on Virgin Galactic. Ouch. Goldman downgrades Western Digital to neutral from buy.
You don't need to look further than Virgin Galactic because they're putting off the launch of commercial space into the fourth quarter of 2022. That's got shares at one point down 22%.
To the downside in pre-market trading, down more than 20%. And that is after the company delayed the start of its actual commercial flights to space even further out into next year. The fourth
percent higher year to date. It's trading basically flat right now. That's despite a slump in one of its top holdings, Viasat, which announced a $7 billion acquisition of Inmarsat yesterday and is down about 19% for the week already so far. But another component is in focus as well, and that's Virgin Galactic, after the space tourism company reported a narrower loss and disclosed a roughly $1 billion cash position. Galactic, which reopened ticket sales in August following founder Sir Richard Branson's July space flight, saying it has sold 100 new tickets at the higher prices it now charges, which start at $450,000 a seat, for a total of 700 seats now sold. And you can see those shares jumping and really air launch capabilities like sister company Virgin Galactic. I mean, right now you have a fleet of one. It's a repurposed Boeing 747. It's called Cosmic Girl. But to do these expansions and to be able to pull off an aggressive launch cadence, you're going to need more, I would imagine.
Absolutely. So Cosmic Girl is sitting right behind us, as you mentioned.
Snap and Chewy and Palantir and CRISPR and Virgin Galactic and Chegg.
Cheg's got hit a little, unless that was a 4-for-1 split.
Little. I mean,
Peloton.
What do you do with some of these
Peloton.
names? And DraftKings and Robinhood and Bumble and Roku and Beyond Meat. Go on and on.
Well,
these things are all off 40%
well,
from
they
their
were
highs.
part of an era.
And by the way, in a very recent period, let's call.
You can go back and do the fundamentals. For instance, is Virgin Galactic the best fundamental? No, but it's captured the fancy of young people. As you know what's not on this list? You know, things like Ingersoll Rand, Procter not being picked. Coca-Cola. This
Steel.
is not the cat. Yo, geez, U.S. Steel.
Next year, Virgin Galactic, it has to begin getting things ready for flights for regular ticket holders at some point next year. And of course, if we look over in the commercial side of things, we know that Blue Origin has to begin fulfillment of contracts for launch services sometime next year. You know, they've been
public offering. The de-SPACed companies like Virgin Galactic or DraftKings, those companies, they'll do well or not do well the same way that Amazon or Google or other companies have done well or not done well. But those are
boom. However, other companies, I haven't received an email about Virgin Galactic for a few months now, and now I see why, because it has been utter destruction there. So all these speculative holdings have been beaten up. Other companies like Teladoc that I discussed somewhere in February 2021 has
stake almost a year ago. That was worth about $200 million at the time in March. However, Social Capital is still one of the top 3 shareholders in Virgin Galactic. What's perhaps so notable about this news today is how quietly it's happening and how abruptly it's happening, given the fact that Palihapitiya is stepping down effective immediately. And Aaron Lavelle, who is Virgin Group's chief investment officer and a longtime board member, has been with the board since 2017, is basically taking over as an interim chair as the company now searches for a new chairman. It comes in a very busy week for Virgin Galactic as well after the company opened ticket sales to the general public earlier this week. You actually saw the stock spike more than 30% on that news. It's largely given up those gains, and now, just today, it's down another 7% on this Palihapitiya news. It's down almost 83% over the past year, and it really speaks to, more broadly, guys, as you touched on, just how hard hit the broader SPAC sector is. Virgin Galactic is really the name that popularized this type of investment vehicle in 2019.
9% there, right? The two brothers in arms. You had Space, Virgin Galactic, which, wow, Virgin Galactic, I didn't even realize it was under $10. This was a very, very hyped stock a few years ago. So
you've got your options now. SpaceX, Blue Origin, Virgin Galactic. When are you going to go up back to space, Senator Nelson?
And we're going
to... Virgin Galactic. 25.78.
Goes bad. Can the S&P 500 go bankrupt? No. Can these tech companies, Virgin Galactic, Space, Travel, Cappuccino, for $7 space dollars go bankrupt? Let me know in the comments. Also, if you
names that don't look so good shorts maybe, AMC and Virgin Galactic. We also talked about the broader macro landscape, and I began that part of the conversation by asking his view right now on bonds.
Bonds, we don't do a lot of market timing.
Whatever. So we can see here that Space, Virgin Galactic, in the past year has lost $250 million from its operations. Now, when you see a company is producing negative operating cash flow consistently like this, it's literally never produced operating cash flow, and it's just losing money, you got to ask yourself, how does this business stay in business? Or you're gambling on a stock like Virgin Galactic, you're buying a business that's losing money and it's diluting you and taking on debt, leveraging itself up just to keep the lights on, just to keep operating. Space is...
Spot on Tvar in Croatia. It's a big island. Check this out. Virgin Galactic, SPCE, down 15% in the pre-market. They've had to delay the launch of their space flights until 2023.
I don't remember exactly how much. I lost some money on Virgin Galactic.
Oh, yeah, that one.
I actually made a little money on Dropbox, I think, but one stock that I really made a considerable amount of money, and this is probably the biggest gain I've ever received on a stock, is CRISPR Therapeutics. Do you know that company?
Has been much more slow to take up than the debuts of Virgin Galactic and others might have made us think. Are those the types of companies that either might go back private, go bankrupt at the cost of a tractor supply and a steel company taking investment dollars?
Virgin Galactic, we're watching those shares as well. They're up 6% after reporting a wider than expected loss for the third quarter. It did top revenue projections.
At the same time, you have to think about the commercial companies, Virgin Galactic. You have to think about SpaceX, if you will. Google's also a player in this particular area as well. And you also have to think about what's happening from the standpoint of autonomous vehicle driving and Tesla. These are
Probability all those babies go under, right? Remember Virgin Galactic? Space? Oh yeah, they're going to give everybody space rides to outer space, and you're going to pay like, I don't know, what was it, $500,000, $250,000 or whatever it was to go on a ride to outer space or whatever, right? The stock's down 91% plus now at this point in time. And